Hey guys, my name is Evan and welcome to Economics 101, your number one source for every econ. Imagine you're working 40 hours a week at a federal minimum wage. You're earning $7.25 an hour. That's about $290 a week before taxes, assuming a full 40-hour work week. Now imagine someone tells you we should raise that wage to $15 an hour. For the worker, it sounds like an obvious win, but then the business owners are going to ask, who's going to pay for this? And that's where this debate gets interesting, because raising the minimum wage isn't simply a question of whether workers deserve more money. It's an economic question involving jobs, prices, business, and consumers. As of today, August 16, 2026, the federal minimum wage remains at $7.25 per hour, unchanged since July 2009. So today we're going to answer three questions. What's the strongest economic case for raising the minimum wage? What's the strongest economic case against raising the minimum wage? And most importantly, what it means for the Fed, financial markets, businesses, and everyday consumers. Before we jump into the video, I do have a quick favor that really helps grow the channel. If you enjoy simple breakdown of economics, please hit the like button, subscribe to Economics 101, and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any future videos. Now, let's get into it. So first, let's what we're actually going to discuss, or what we're going to actually talk about. The federal minimum wage is essentially a legal floor. If a covered employee is subject to federal minimum wage rules, they generally cannot pay an eligible worker less than $7.25 per hour. But here's something important. $7.25 isn't necessarily what workers actually earn. Many states and cities have established higher minimum wages. For example, as of July 1st, 2026, California's list state minimum wage is $16.90. So America doesn't really have one minimum wage economy. It has different markets. And that matters, because an hour can mean something very different in a high-cost city than it does in a lower-cost rural community. Now let's get into the strongest argument for raising minimum wage. The first real argument is pretty forward. If you raise the wage floor, workers who keep their jobs earn more money. It's literally how the policy works. So a worker goes from $10 to $15 an hour at 40 hours per week. That's an additional $200 per week before taxes. This is where supporters argue that raising the minimum wage can create a positive economic cycle. Workers have more disposable income. They spend more. Businesses receive more from consumer spending, and higher wages may also reduce employee turnover. The last point is important though. Replacing workers is expensive. Businesses have to recruit, they got to interview, they got to train, onboard new employees. For higher wage workers more likely to stay, a business could potentially recover some of its increased labor costs through better retention and productivity. And there is another argument also, and then it's to basically poverty. Congressional Budget Office has found that increasing the minimum wage generally raises earnings for many low-wage workers and can reduce the number of people living in poverty. So the pro argument isn't simply give workers more money. It's increase the bargaining power and purchasing power of lower wage workers. But now we hit the biggest. Higher wages are so beneficial. Why not just raise the minimum wage to $20, $25, $30 an hour? That brings us to the other side of the coin. Here's the uncomfortable economic reality. When the government raises the minimum wage, it doesn't magically create additional money. The labor becomes more expensive, and businesses have several ways that they can respond to that. They could accept lower profits. They could prices. They could employee hours. Could slow hiring. That could replace some labor with some labor technology also. Or in some cases, they could decide that hiring a particular worker no longer makes economic sense. And this is the central argument against large minimum wage increases. The higher the wage floor goes, the greater the potential adjustment. So that uncertainty is crucial, because economics isn't saying every dollar increase destroys X number of jobs. It's much more complicated than that. The effect depends on how large the increase is. where the increase is coming from, how productive workers, how competitive the labor market is, and how businesses respond to that. So the real question isn't simply should wages go up? It's how high should the wage floor go before the economic trade-offs come too large? Quick pause, guys. If you want breakdowns like this, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to Economics 101, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Now let's hop back into things. Let's kind of all to the bigger economy. So after looking at both sides, should we raise the minimum wage? My economic answer is there is a strong case for raising it. Yes, but the size and structure of the increase, it matters. So I believe that, yes, we should be raising the minimum wage, okay? The federal wage at $7.25 forever isn't necessarily a good economic strategy. The rate has been unchanged since 2009. At the same time, saying just raise it to $20 and everything will be better ignores the economic trade-offs. Businesses face higher labor costs, some prices may rise, some jobs or hours could disappear, and the effects won't be evenly distributed across the country. For me, the strongest economic argument may be for a gradual, predictable increase. The question isn't whether workers deserve higher pay, they do. The question is how to increase wages without creating an unnecessary damage to employment, prices, and economic growth. And that is exactly why minimum wage debate refuses to go away. That argument is going to be here forever. So now I want to hear from you. Should America raise the federal minimum wage? And if yes, what should it be? $10, $20, $15, $17, $25? Drop your in the comments below. If you found this breakdown useful, hit the like button, subscribe to Economics 101. Make sure you got your notifications turned on. And I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for tuning in.